Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I am your host and Foreclosure Deals Coach, and this is the show where we discuss how to find, figure, fund, fix, and flip a foreclosure deal with a minimum profit guarantee of $25,000 or more, taking average investors just like you, people who don't know where to get started in real estate investing, and turning them into successful foreclosure flippers, making money, giving them the time, location, and financial freedom that everybody's looking for from real estate investing. Again, I'm your host, Donny Coram, and this week we're going to discuss something that really hit me relatively recently. Now, I have to mention that if you watch the show at all, you know that I'm studying and I got my Series 65 license, which makes me a registered investment advisor once I have a firm to hang the license with. I got my SIE, Securities Essentials, is something to that effect. So I got that exam passed, and now I'm working on what's considered to be the BEAR, the Series 7 license, which allows me to be a broker dealer, if you will, of stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all these other financial instruments. Well, what has happened since I posted out there that I got my Series 65 is I've been engaged in some very unique conversations that I certainly would not have had without getting these licenses. And these conversations are starting to talk about bigger money deals. For instance, I'm talking with a local developer who's working on a 70-unit development in Woodland Park, looking for funding to get that deal done, hoping to become a part of that funding team. Talking with a portfolio manager looking to sell off a couple of properties in the Pueblo market. We're putting together a 3-deal portfolio deal for an investor to buy not one, not two, but 3 houses at the same time, get them fixed up for what could potentially be a over $100,000 yield. And obviously, I'm having lots of conversations with wealth managers, money managers, guys who have hundreds of millions of dollars under management right now and are constantly having big money discussions. So what does all of this have to do with you? Why are we even talking about that on a real estate investing show? Well, one of my favorite guys to listen to is Ed Milet. I don't know if you're familiar with Ed, but if you aren't, run out and learn a little bit more about Ed, because Ed is an amazing dude. And I can tell you that Ed Milet, one of the things, I watched one of his videos the other day, and he talked about 2 things. Number one, there is no nobility in poverty. And I want to tackle that one right out of the gate, okay? There is no nobility in poverty. Now, Ed wasn't the first one to say that. That saying has been carrying on for a long time, but there are a lot of people out there I talk to who are generally in the, hey, bro, I don't need a bunch of money. I'm getting by. Life is fine. Why work so hard? Life is short, yada, yada. Nothing could be a more ridiculous thought process than to think there's some kind of honor in the ability to just get by. Okay. Now, most people started getting by. In most times in my financial situation, over the time that I've been building my career, obviously, there's been times I'm just getting by. I'm not knocking it by any means. You got to start somewhere. And obviously, we don't start unless you're very lucky with $1 million in the bank, a bunch of money laying around, the ability to invest. You got to work your way up. But if your objective is just to stay in that area of life where you are just getting by, then you've missed a very important part about what life is supposed to be like, okay? There is no nobility in poverty. Just getting by is a disservice to you for sure, but then the family that you represent, the heirs you're going to be leaving the money to on the other end of this when you pass, everybody gets a disadvantage if your goal in life is to just get by. So if you're sitting here going, I don't know if I'm really cut out for this real estate investing thing, I don't even know if I want the extra money this creates, you've missed the mark. Now, I'm not saying by any means that this is the only means to produce an income and generate wealth. Real estate is one of many ways. It's probably one of the better ways. If you look at the very wealthy people here in the economy, I'd say 90% probably built at least part of their wealth between real estate, and then the other 95%, right? If you're talking about total gap, are in the stock market, investments, equities, etc. So if there's no nobility in poverty, the next thing you need to know that Ed Milet brought up is that you absolutely have to understand how money works. Now, here's the thing. You're thinking right now, I know how money works, Donny. I got money in my bank account. I got money in my pocket. I exchange it for goods and services. No. When I talk about how money works, what I'm referring to is how to put your money to work for you. You see very wealthy people, and now that I'm a licensed investment advisor, having conversations with a bunch of other licensed investment advisors, the very wealthy out there, even the people who are on the way up, have figured out how to take money and put it to work for them to make more money. So the money that you make is not limited to what you get at your day job. Okay, the hourly wage that you're getting is just one of many sources of income. So if you're really serious about this, you've got to understand how money works. Okay, and that's something that a lot of people never take the time out to learn. I'm not at all implying that you need to go out and get a securities license, pass your Series 65, pass your Series 7, but let me tell you, it certainly wouldn't hurt. Okay, if you really want to understand how the market dynamics are, you've got to have at least a loose understanding about how the stock market operates, how the real estate market operates. Obviously, I focus my expertise on the movement of the real estate market, which is why I'm so effective at buying properties low, fixing them up, and selling them at a profit. I literally make millions of dollars doing that. Okay. Now, I'd love to tell you I've kept millions of dollars doing that. I built an investment capital. I built up assets and et cetera. And as quick as the money came in a lot of cases, it came out. What I learned from doing 45 flips in 1 year, 47 flips in another year, and 40 flips in another year still is that A, I didn't want to flip that many houses because it's a ton of work, and B, how to effectively operate a flipping system that will allow anybody to step into it, buy deals, analyze the deals effectively, fund the deals with my partners, fix the deal with my contractor crews, and then flip the deal with my agent at a significant discount from what you would pay for listing with a retail agent, resulting in a minimum profit on average of $25,000. Now, does that work every single time? Look, this is an investment vehicle. There are risks to any investment that you take. Is it going to take longer than you thought it should? Probably. Is it going to cost a little bit more than you thought it should? Probably. Okay, what we do as part of the coaching program is help you to navigate those choppy waters. So the more of this you do, the easier the process becomes. But this is not, I repeat, not a get-rich-quick scheme. Okay, and a lot of people come to me and they're so interested in learning how to flip properties that they forget that this is an investment vehicle that requires work. If you want to park money and make 5-6% annualized returns, there are a bajillion mutual funds that can do that far easier than the process it takes to flip a house. On the other side of that, if you're looking at taking a $50,000 investment into a property that you're never going to live in, okay, then spending $30,000 to $40,000 of somebody else's money, the lender will fund your rehab for you. Okay, so you're taking other people's money to fix the property up, then you are selling that property on the open market. Your annualized return goes from $50,000 investment to $75,000 at the end. After recovering your 50 grand, you've made an extra $25,000 per deal. And if you get proficient at this, then you're going to be able to do that 3, 4, 5 times a year without breaking a sweat. Okay, that translates into an extra $100,000 a year in income that you are making simply for investing capital into buying property instead of investing capital into living in property. Do you see the variable there? Okay, but if the hesitation is that you don't want to put the work in, then this is not an investment vehicle for you. I don't care if you're going to invest in anything. At some point, you got to put the work in to get the capital that you need to invest. You may buy an annuity that pays very little, by the way. I'm learning a lot about that in my studies right now. You can buy an annuity where you pay for it once and it throws off a monthly check for the rest of your life. But that check is not going to be very high. It's not going to be enough to live on it. And you could get a much better return if you are actively managing your portfolio. Okay. Now, active management is not for everybody. Most people have a day job where they produce an income and they need that income to cover their bills. So what's beautiful about what we're doing with this investment vehicle is it's what's called the Securities and Exchange Commission calls this a direct participation program, which means you invest. your money into the project, and then you're directly participating in the project getting done. How are you participating? Well, some of my clients, they want to get their hands dirty, and I respect that. Like they're handy type, they're out there swinging a hammer, putting stuff together, doing the work. You can make a lot more money per project doing the work yourself for certain, but the time it takes to do it means that you're able to do less projects. And as a result, it's generally more profitable for your involvement in the project to be limited to managing the contractors that my team helps you to hire and manage as well, right? It's the perfect storm for investors who want to get into real estate investing, but also need to maintain their day job income. Okay, and that's what this idea is. The other benefit to this is properly done. This can be done from anywhere in the United States of America. If you tuned in last week, we had Ryan Deemers on the show. Ryan's based in Las Vegas. He came out here to see me in person. We grabbed a couple of meals together and got to hang out, which was awesome. But Ryan's flip is like 90% done already. Like we're listing it this week. Okay, so he didn't need to come out here to get this deal done. I'm glad he did. But the reality of this investment vehicle is anywhere you happen to be, you can get a flip done because my setup allows you to buy the flip, analyze the flip, fund the flip, fix the flip, and sell the flip without your daily involvement and without you having to physically be here. Okay, so the question now becomes, why aren't you doing this? Well, the first reason you aren't doing this, and I'm not going to lie to you, this is a mindset thing. I want you to get in your head for a little bit. There's a part of a lot of people who simply take some pride in being poor, right? I never understood that mindset. I certainly do not condone that mindset. But listen, if you're hanging around, you've heard the saying that if you average the incomes of your 5 closest friends, you're going to find your income. Like almost every time. Remember when our parents told us that you're going to become who you hang out with? Or we're like, nah, mom, that's not true. Like I just think he's a cool dude to hang out with. No, this was accurate. If you're hanging out with poor people, the statistics that you're going to end up broke are much higher. That's just accurate. Okay. And that's not a pleasant thing to say. And I'm not telling you to kick your broke friends to the curb, but I want you to take a very good look at the life that you're leading right now and the people that you're hanging out with at this moment who are part of your social circle, either at your job, because you got to see them every single day, right? Or the people you hang out with after work. Look at where they are economically and ask yourself right now, is this where I want to end up? Okay, if the answer is no, ask yourself now, why are you taking the same steps those people are taking and expecting to get a different result? Do you know what the definition of insanity is? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it to somehow end differently. Right? That's insane. You're taking the same action. You're taking the same action as the people who are not making the money that you want to make. Right? They're working at their day job that they hate just like you are. They're not getting ahead in life. You're taking the exact same steps and you're somehow expecting that you're going to get lucky or it's going to go outside the pocket and you're somehow going to get a different result. Does that even make sense to you when you say it out loud? Right? What I want to do right now, whether you sign up for coaching or not, and obviously my goal here is that this inspires you to get off your duff and let's have a conversation about whether or not doing a foreclosure flip is the right fit for you. Because I'm not going to kid you. One of the things I'm learning from the SEC licensing is this thing called suitability. And what suitability is, it's basically an assessment on whether or not the investment vehicle fits the client that's doing said investment vehicle. Right? For instance, if you're 68 years old, right, and you've got $100,000 in a bank account, you probably don't want to be paying options or futures or any really highly speculative, risky investments, right? You might make a lot of money. You also might end up living on the street. And because you're at a later part in your life, you can't recover that investment soon enough. That's very dangerous when you're at a certain age, right? That would mean high risk investments are not suitable to you. I'm not saying, by the way, that fix and flips are a high risk investment. I'm going to argue that they're about moderate risk investment. Why? Because there's a predictable 3 numbers. And my 3-number system is that you buy the house at a certain figure, you rehab the house at a certain figure, which we can't completely control. So there's some degree of risk, but that risk is about 10% in either direction, right? You're not talking about massive swings. If you've got a $40,000 remodel budget, there might be a gotcha in there that's $4,000, $3 or $4 grand, and maybe you didn't expect to put the furnace in, but the furnace is shot. Okay, so we're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in swings, right? So it's a moderate risk investment. And then you have a sale price. All of these prices are predetermined prior to you doing the deal, right? So as a result, I'm going to argue it's a moderate risk investment, right? It's not low risk. It's not high risk. It's right down the middle. So if you've got the capital to do a deal, then this makes sense. If you don't have the capital to do a deal, then the risk steps up a little bit because now you have to borrow or leverage the capital to do the deal. If you are young enough to where borrowing that capital makes sense because you could recover that. If you got a HELOC on your property, right, you got some access to capital, you got this HELOC sitting there and you can use that to do a deal, I think that lowers the risk again. Right? If you got to put it on credit cards like Ryan did, that increases the risk. But Ryan's a young guy. He makes a good amount of money in his day job. So the risk is mitigated by the fact that he's young and he can always recover from this if it was to go wrong. The good news is it's probably not going to go wrong. Right? You can come into this with the mindset of everything could go wrong, but after doing over 300 flips, nearing 400 flips now, I can tell you that it went wrong maybe 1% of the time. Okay, I'm not saying at all that I didn't take losses. If you're talking to any investment advisor of any sort and they tell you that they never lose money, run as fast as you can the other direction. Okay, the idea behind the risk reward quotient of any investment and putting money to work for you is how much risk you can actually tolerate. Okay, for some people, you're hyper conservative, and I love you to death. I really do. But hyper conservative investors end up getting by for the rest of their existence. If your objective is to just get by, in that case, you are 100% right. Foreclosure investing is probably not for you. On the flip side of that, if you've got some big goals, right? You've got a thing like I do for Ferraris. Like I really love the roar of that engine, how it feels. I've driven a couple of them. I love the car. Okay, but it's a $300,000 car. Does that make sense? Well, if you're getting by, you got a day job, even if you're making 6 figures a year, like you're making $100,000 a year, investing $300,000 in your dream car doesn't make a ton of sense. There's no way around that. Okay. On the flip side of that coin, let's say that you're now making $500,000 a year. You're literally cashing checks for $40,000 a month. You've got your day job, right? That's making you $10,000 a month, let's just say, right? You got a household income of $10,000 a month, but then you're doing this flipping thing on the side and you're making an extra, I don't know, $25,000 per quarter, $8,000-9,000 a month. Does it make sense to buy the Ferrari? No, but you're getting closer, right? The point is there's no nobility in poverty. Just deciding to get by is exactly counterintuitive to the success that you're looking for. Okay. And we can talk all day about real estate. And obviously, you generally tune into this show to discuss real estate. So let's go over a deal right now, but right after this. But understand that if you just want to analyze deals, it's like watching the stock market, watching stocks go up and a bunch of people getting wealthy while you are not getting wealthy because you want to watch the market and not actually take any action. Okay. How do you get to take action? Well, for me, if I were getting a pilot's license, I wouldn't go find an aircraft, hop in the plane, and hope for the best, right? If I were going to become a doctor, I would invest in medical school to make certain that I didn't kill somebody on the surgery table, right? And if I were going to flip a real estate property, if I were going to buy and flip a deal, the first step I would take is hire an expert in that area, specifically to the local market that I'm in, if possible, right? And then I would hire that person to teach me all the ins and outs of fixing and flipping a foreclosure deal. So the first investment you got to make of capital is not into a property, but rather into the guidance and coaching that's provided from the Foreclosure Deals Coach system. Okay, so we walk you through every step of the process. So not that you're going to be guaranteed to make money, but rather that your probability of success goes up substantially because somebody's finding a deal for you, somebody's analyzing the deal for you, somebody's funding the deal for you using borrowed money that you have to get, right? Somebody's fixing the deal for you and somebody's flipping the deal on your behalf because all the pieces are set up so you have a lower probability of failure. Your probability of making money on this arrangement is much higher. That's the takeaway from the program, and that's what I want to help you to do, right? So if you're sitting by, you don't know how to get started, head out to the website, will you? Let's schedule a coaching assessment call. We're going to determine if this investment is suitable for you. And if the answer is no, I'm going to tell you that. Like, I don't want anybody in my program who's not a good fit, but I do believe most people who I have gotten in the program did not think they were a good fit prior to talking to me. And after we broke down how this is going to work in copious detail, it made sense that it did fit for them. We got them in the program. They're now doing deals, and you could be doing the same right now. Okay, that's kind of our time for today. I know there's some people still watching, so I'm gonna, open it up for questions and concerns right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the no nobility and poverty thing, right? Have you heard that saying before? Do you have some people who take nobility and poverty? Are you around that right now? Let's chat about it if you're out there. If not, no big deal, guys. I really wanted to get this message off my heart today. It just hit me. There's a lot of people standing by and being uncertain about this investment because they're fearful about the idea that they can lose money or they won't find a deal or they don't have the courage to just take the first step. If that describes you, you need coaching, period. The only thing that can solve the fears that you're facing in real estate investing is coaching. There's nothing else that can fix that, right? I can help you with that problem, but you got to take that first initial step, which is the big scary call of the big bad coach, which is me. And I promise I'll be nice. I promise you. I just want to find out what's going on in your life, what's happening in your situation. Make sure this is a good fit for you. You've got the capital to actually do a deal and get a deal to the end game. If all of those things work out, then we should work together. All right, let's talk deals for a little bit. I'm working a deal right now with 3 properties in the Pueblo market. Total cost to the investor is going to be wandering around $400,000. Now, I want you to think and just sit on that number for just a minute. Okay, imagine an average house in Colorado Springs right now is wandering near 500 grand. We are buying 3 of them for $400,000. So for less than the average price of 1 property, we're buying 3. Now, how did that manage to happen? I could cite a bunch of reasons on how I'm that good and how my team's that good. But rather than tell you that, let's just say if you make your business and job finding deals, if that's what you spend your life doing, you will find deals. Whatever you focus on is going to come to reality eventually, right? This is how it works. I spend my life and my team, I have a whole segment of my team, an acquisitions manager, Scott. You saw him on the show once, right? Scott goes out all day long, every day he's looking for deals. So we bagged this portfolio. The purchase price, 400 grand. We are currently predicting, and it could change, but we're currently predicting $50,000 in remodel. These are smaller houses. They're about 1,000 to 1,100 square feet each property. Okay, we're predicting a $50,000 remodel, which is really high, but it's making the assumption that everything goes wrong. Okay, so if everything goes wrong, $50K per house works out to $150,000 in rehab costs on this project. So now we spent 400 plus 150, 550, right? Each house in this market, just taking an average house in Pueblo at this square footage in this neighborhood is wandering between 215 and 220, and I'm being conservative right now, okay? I do believe we get to 230 or 240, but I do want to go conservative because if we get lower numbers and we like our lower numbers, then when we push the numbers to the higher numbers, it's a better yield for the investor. Everybody wins, okay? So we're buying for 400, remodeling for 50,000 a house or 150,000. So we're in for 550 and we're out for 220 times 3 units, 660 grand minus 550. That means one very savvy investor is getting a hell of a project. These 3 houses need a lot of work, okay? But one very savvy investor is about to buy 3 properties and with a potential net profit wandering pretty close to $100,000 bucks, maybe a little bit more than 100 grand on this deal, okay? Yes, it's going to take 8 to 12 weeks, to get all 3 houses done. It's a 3-month project. But would you be happy with a $100,000 return for 3 months of work? I bet you would. Okay, these deals happen each and every single day, but somebody's got to be looking for them. Somebody's got to lock them down on a consistent basis. Somebody's got to make it happen. And I'm the guy as your coach who's out there looking for deals like this all the time. We're positioning one of my investors in this deal right now to do 3 properties, potentially make over 100 grand on the spread on 3 different deals. We're going to manage the remodel for him. So my team is going to handle most of that. He writes checks. He gets a big check at the end. It's not easy, but it's palatable compared to a day job where you'll be very difficult to make 100 grand in a year versus making 100 grand in about a quarter by fixing up 3 properties. And if it all goes downhill, right, nothing works out, for some reason the houses don't sell, okay, he's still sitting on over 6 figures worth of equity and a passive investment that will make a positive cash flow and go up in value as the market continues to rise, right? So even if things go wrong on this deal, they still go so right. right? Do you want that to happen in your world? You looking for an investment vehicle that can help you to make money and learn how to do this? I want to be your guy. Message me, send out a DM to me. Let's have a conversation. No sales pitch. I know I talk fast. I know I'm loud, but I'm telling you, the reason I talk this way is I'm so passionate about what I do and building wealth for my clients. I know 100% that if I can sway you over this direction to at least have the conversation, and then we determine this is the right fit for you as an investment vehicle, you and I can make a lot of money doing this. And I would certainly like to be a part of that. All right, that is our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Each and every single week, we're changing lives. Deals are happening. Money's being made. And I'd love for you to be a part of it. Message me. Let's get started. With that, this is Donny Coram, your foreclosure deals coach. Thanking you so much for tuning in and reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a deal.